This is TechCrunch. TechCrunch has exclusively learned that semiconductor startup Positron has secured $230 million in Series B funding. Sources familiar with the matter told TechCrunch that the outfit plans to use the capital to speed up deployment of its high-speed memory chips, a critical component for the chips used for AI workloads. Investors in the round include Qatar Investment Authority, the country's sovereign wealth fund, which has been increasingly focused on building out AI infrastructure. The Reno-based startup's Series B comes as hyperscalers and AI firms push to reduce their reliance on long-standing leader Nvidia. These firms include OpenAI, which, despite being one of Nvidia's largest and most important customers, is reportedly unsatisfied with some of the firm's latest AI chips and has been seeking alternatives since last year. Meanwhile, Qatar, through QIA, has been accelerating a broader push into so-called sovereign AI infrastructure, a priority repeatedly underscored at Web Summit Qatar in Doha this week. Several sources told TechCrunch the country views compute capacity as critical to staying competitive on the global economic stage and is positioning itself as a leading AI services hub in the Middle East, fueling interest in startups like Positron. The strategy is already taking shape through major commitments, including a $20 billion AI infrastructure joint venture with Brookfield Asset Management that was announced back in September. Positron's fundraise brings the three-year-old startup's total capital raised to just over $300 million. The startup previously raised $75 million last year from investors including Valor Equity Partners, DFJ Growth, Flume Ventures, Resilience Reserve, and others. The company claims its first-generation chip Atlas, manufactured in Arizona, can match the performance of Nvidia's H100 GPUs for less than a third of the power. Positron is focused on inference, computing needed to run AI models for real-world applications, rather than training large language models, positioning the company as demand surges for inference hardware as businesses increasingly shift focus from building large models to deploying them at scale. Sources tell TechCrunch that beyond its memory capabilities, Positron's chips also perform strongly in high-frequency and video processing workloads. Well, in other tech news, most of what we know about the ocean just skims the surface. Literally, we've gathered a large quantity of data on the oceans from satellites, but most of that is based on the top layer of water. Below that, the picture gets murkier. Buoys, ships, and some autonomous rovers have recently added some detail, but it's nothing like what we get from satellites today. It's frustrating to everyone from fishermen to the Coast Guard, meteorologists to offshore wind developers. Ravi Pappu, founder and CEO of Apeiron Labs, told TechCrunch, "Getting data from the subsurface ocean has always been really hard. It's really slow. You need a ship that costs $100,000 a day and steams out slowly. Everything's an expedition." Pappu hopes that his bobbing autonomous underwater vehicle can change that. He founded Apeiron Labs in 2022 after a stint as CTO of In-Q-Tel, the CIA's venture capital arm. There, the lack of data on the ocean was a persistent problem that kept coming up. To fill the gaps, Apeiron Labs is building low-cost vehicles that travel 400 meters up and down the water column, which is the vertical section of ocean from surface to seafloor, sampling temperature, salinity, and acoustics once or twice per day. Apeiron currently sells to both civilian and defense customers. To build and sell more of its autonomous underwater vehicles, or AUVs, Apeiron Labs recently closed a $9.5 million Series A round led by Dyne Ventures, RA Capital Management Planetary Health, and S2G Investments. Assembly Ventures, Bay Bridge Ventures, and TFX Capital also participated. At 3 feet long, 5 inches in diameter, and just over 20 pounds, the startup's AUVs can be deployed from boats or airplanes. Not coincidentally, they also fit into the U.S. Navy's existing launch equipment. Once the AUV hits the water, it gets its bearings and connects to a cloud-based operating system where it logs its data. While it dives, the operating system uses models of the ocean to predict where it will surface. When the AUV finally breaches and reconnects with the operating system, the cloud-based software incorporates the new data to refine its models. The AUVs are spaced about 10 to 20 kilometers apart, forming a line or array that captures data in greater resolution than ship-based efforts. Apeiron envisions deploying dozens or even hundreds of its AUVs for a range of customers. The Pentagon might use them to listen for submarines off the coast of the U.S., while fisheries might want to receive more detailed temperature and salinity data about prime fishing waters. The goal is persistent monitoring in key parts of the ocean. Pappu said that at Apeirion's current scale, it has brought the cost of ocean data down by 100-fold. He wants to get it down by a factor of 1,000, and he thinks Apeiron can hit that target next year. Referencing a type of small, low-cost satellite, Pappu added, "We think of ourselves as the CubeSat for the ocean." That's it from TechCrunch. For more stories like these, go to TechCrunch.com.